And for the view from Congress, let's go right now with Indiana Republican Congressman Luke Messer. Congressman, thanks so much for being with us.
Glad to be here, Jose. Thanks for having me.
Do you think anything is going to be done to deal with this specific issue of the border crisis before you all go on your summer break?
Yeah, I think it should, and I'm optimistic it will happen. We'll have a bill that, as the person speaking just before said, I think it'll be around $1 billion. It'll focus on being able to provide relief, speed up the processing of these young people on the border, try to include some border security, and then try to help the countries that will be receiving these children back process them on the other side as well.
And how do you think they could best be aided or help, these countries?
Well, I mean, I think there's nothing compassionate about the current system that's encouraging folks to trek across the desert in appalling conditions at great danger. We need to send a very clear message. The president himself has said that most of these young people will need to be sent back. They should be processed in a way that's consistent with our values as Americans, though, and those who legitimately can claim asylum should be able to do that. We need to act now. I believe you'll see the House act this week. And frankly, it's not clear whether the Senate will be able to pull together the voting majority they need to act this week either.
HHS published numbers at the end of last week that really show even Indiana has some of these kids. 245 of them as at the beginning of the month, and the Washington Post reported over the weekend these kids are being shuttled from the border to housing all over the country and then back to Texas for court dates. How do we best handle this process? I mean, it seems like it's so expensive and it's so unorganized how this crisis is being dealt with.
Yeah, I mean, without any action, the processing and making sure each child has a hearing could take years. It ought to be closer to 5 to 7 days. As you described, it's now a national problem because these young people are being taken all over the country. You know, I'm a parent. I have kids that are 11, 10, and 7, and so you can't help but have your heart go out to these young people. But again, there's nothing compassionate about the current process. We need to make clear the message that there is no special change in the law and that you can't come here illegally. We need to process these young people in a way that's consistent with our values as Americans. And then we need to send them back where they can be safe, hopefully back home in their home country.
Yeah, I don't know if they will be safe in their home country. That's a question we all have to deal with. But you know, the president is saying he's going to be acting unilaterally on immigration. The failure of the Republican House to deal with immigration reform this year. I said all hell's going to break loose if he does, as far as what the Republicans are going to do. What do you think the reaction will be?
The president needs to act in compliance with the law. He said that before. There's no reason to change it now. Clearly, I have disagreements in other areas of public policy where the president has acted unilaterally. Again, our heart goes out to these young people, but it can't be an excuse to behave lawlessly as a nation. We need to pass a bill in the House that helps deal with this near-term crisis. And then, frankly, we do need to look at the separate issue of broader term reform. We got to secure our border, and I believe we need a working work visa program that's authentically enforceable, that would both help our economy and help our national security as well. But the time to do that is once we get past this crisis.
But why is it that it takes so long? I mean, to deal with these issues. This is a crisis that just didn't start with the 58,000 kids crossing the border since October. This has been going on forever, and it just seems like the House talks and doesn't do anything about it one way or another on one issue or another. You guys are just talking.
Well, listen, I mean, the president had a change in policy, the way that we handled these young people, dispersing them out through the country, that contributed to the large influx, tens of thousands of young people that have made this decision. I believe the real hang-up here is the president's insistence on blanket citizenship for more than 10 million folks who are here in violation of the law. If we stay focused on a work visa program that has legal status attached to it and then border security, there's opportunities to find a bill that would work here. Listen, nobody's happy with the status quo. Americans clearly believe that something needs to be done, and I stand ready to try to work on it.
Well, there's 5 days to see how that works out. Thank you very much, Congressman Messer, for being with us this morning.
Glad to be here. Thanks.